Thank you for joining us for Effective Heart Change. The podcast will discuss how to apply faith principles to real-life situations.
Today I want to give a little bit of a picture of the more personal side of what I do. So often people come up to me and they say, how are things going? And they're really sincerely interested in the ministry and in what I do. And when you're working with addicts, it's always so intense. And invariably I will say, well, it's the best of times, it's the worst of times. Every day there's intense highs and there's intense lows. And to picture that, I want you to begin to understand after a while you start doing this, I call it an adrenaline lifestyle, just because it's so intense and it's day after day and you feel like you're under pressure over and over and over again. And so for me, in my world, I gear up and I press in and I take off. Well, a little over a month ago, my wife and I took off for a week and that was good. But having been in an adrenaline type of a lifestyle, what happens when I go on vacation frequently is I sleep for 3 days, 4 days. I mean, it's really almost kind of a recovery time. So when it was time to jump back in, I found myself it's like not able to gear up. And I don't know how to explain that other than I can remember all the way back to RA training when we had a counselor come in and he was just talking about the levels of burnout with the intensity and all of the different things that people deal with. And that was kind of comforting to me because you get people who talk about taking sabbaticals or needing sabbaticals and doing them at different points in time with this kind of work because you've got to get those times of breather. And I have to confess, I'm not real good at that. I'm not great at taking days off and really getting it on a regular basis. So then it accumulates. Then when it's time to step back into that lifestyle, it's just like everything in me at that point was like, no, you can't do this. And it was interesting because in that time period, my wife, others around me were pressing me, saying, no, take the time, breathe. Get into that place where you need to be in order to step back in. But the other side of the picture is in order to do what I do, you also almost need to have a little bit of that enabler type of thing going on where you're jumping in and it's almost like you're taking ownership for everything that's going on. The alternative to that tends to be people who are more callous and it's just like, it's just a decision, it's just a person. They'll come back later or, whatever the attitude is. But I believe that for me to be as effective as I can be, I need to be completely engaged. I need to be connected. And so every one of these situations becomes personal at a level that I'm waging a war, if you will, on behalf of people, fighting on behalf of them, with them, hopefully to help them get better. When that's where you are, then re-engaging, it's like, I can't do that. My insides, it's tough. And how do you make this happen? I had to just step back. I had to really enforce some extra days off during a period of time to start that renewal process. And I also had to be honest with myself you might have to take an extended period off somewhere in there. And I have done that a couple of different times. But for me, so much of it is just keeping that balance, trying to figure out how do I engage? How do I engage at this higher level? How do I engage in a way where I'm really connected and totally in because people know the difference. When you're engaged at that level, it's much easier for them to instinctively trust and to connect. And it's a dynamic that's really powerful in terms of bringing the term we use all the time as heart change, where they start believing at a more basic level, at a deeper level to change. And so if I'm coming back and I'm kind of tired and I'm distant and I'm just not engaged, it isn't the same. And people notice the difference. So for me, it's hard because I've got that side that really wants to engage, needs to engage, but when I engage, I tend to go more towards that adrenaline lifestyle, and that's not healthy. And so I'm in this fine line. And it's interesting, through the years, I worked on the dairy farm growing up, and so you learn to go long and you learn to go hard. And there was a part of me that, again, that work ethic, man, I needed to drive that thing in order to get there. So I've got that tension going on, I've got the enabling tension going on. But for me to be able to help people, I've got to stay in a healthy place. And it really is a difficult call to get your brain worked around, to have the right people in your life, speaking the right kinds of things and making sure you're listening to them at different times, different ways, so that this whole thing is balanced. Because in order for the organization to be healthy, I've got to stay healthy. Now, I don't know that I've given you any great clues of this or that. My objective on this one was just to be a little bit more personal. These are some of the struggles that I face. Thank you if you pray for me. I need those prayers. We need those prayers. We need to be able to draw other people into staffing and volunteer positions to spread the load out. It makes everything more effective. But I wanted to stop here because it's so real to me and give you a little bit of a personal glimpse of what I've been going through. And again, thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your support for the ministry. It means everything to us, and I hope you've enjoyed this more personal look.
Video production, editing, and audio by Matthew. Set design and setup by Ashley. Content recorded live at Studio 104.